Today we're going to tie a balanced leech, and this leech pattern is tied on a jig hook. You can see the eyes in here, and the body is extended with a straight pin, and then a tungsten bead is put at the end of it so that it'll balance out the weight of the tail and where the fulcrum or the eye of the hook is, so that it'll ride flat when it's hanging underneath an indicator. So to show this, I'm going to put a straight pin in here and pull this out of the vise. Okay, and you'll see that what it does, this is how it would hang under an indicator, and then as the water, if there's waves or anything, and you know the indicator is bobbing up and down, then this is what your fly does underneath. But it stays horizontally and just wiggles underneath into the current. So it's balanced by this tungsten bead and the tail. So it takes a time or two, like 1 or 2 flies, to get the ratio of tail to bead correct. But then once you figure out, you can be able to tie quite a few of these pretty quickly. So let's get after it here. We're going to be using these Fulling Mill 5045 jig hooks. They're barbless and 2x heavy. For the body and tail, this is Simi Seal from John Romer. The brand is Arizona Simi Seal. This is in a blood leech color. The body extension is made with these straight pins. There's several different brands. This is just the ones my wife actually happened to have, and when I run out of them, I'll probably have to go buy her some. But simple straight pins that you can pick up at Joann's or Michael's or any craft store like that. The tungsten bead I'm using is a size 3.3 millimeter, which is a 1/8 inch. You can use a lot of different colors. I've used black and rainbow and copper and gold, so any of those colors will be good. Okay, so we'll get a hook put in the vise here. I'm using some 210 denier black thread, which is pretty heavy thread, but it'll help when securing the pin to the top of the hook. So I'll just get this started. Now for when we do the tail, we're going to take some of this dubbing, some of this semi-seal dubbing, and we just want to even the ends up. So we do that by taking a clump and just pulling it apart and then lining all the ends up. Do that 2 or 3 times, and then just kind of get this into a little bunch, thin bunch, and you want this to be half as thin as the tail you want, because we're going to fold it over and double it up. So we're going to lay it here, find the middle of the clump that you've got, make 2 or 3 wraps to it, and then take this front part, fold it over, and then bind it down. Alright, now that we've got that in, we can take our pin, and on the bead, you know, there's a big hole and a small hole, and normally on a regular hook you put the small hole first, but when we're going to do this, we're going to take that big hole and stick the pin through it so that the head of the pin rests inside the big part of the hole. And then what we'll do is we'll measure this, and my other one, we saw that where the bead was, so I'm going to line this bead up with about where the hook eye is, and then I want that bead to be like so, probably about like that. That's where I want it to be. So what I'm going to have to do is cut this pin now right about in here so I can tie it down. So what I've got now is I have some side cutters, and I'm going to come in here and just kind of score it a little bit so I can break it off, or I can just simply cut it. But you need to do this over a trash can or something so that you end up not having a needle point flying around in the air and putting somebody's eye out. Alright, now that I've got my pin cut, I'm going to come in here and lay this pin right in on top of the hook. Right there. And then we'll just bind this down. And leave the thread back here towards the end. So we'll take some more of this dubbing and kind of even it up a little bit, and then we'll just create a noodle on here, and we just get some of it started right back here at the end. And it makes it easier to get the rest of it spun up. And we'll just continue to make more on the noodle, wrap it around, and when we get up here to the eye, we just continue around the eye all the way to the bead. And we want to make sure we get good and tight against that bead so it holds it up against the head of that pin. That's probably a little too much. We'll pull some of that dubbing off. And then we can simply whip finish. Right behind the bead. And then we'll cut our thread off. And now we need to make this look a little bushier, so I take my my toothbrush, and I've got some Velcro on the back here. I can just kind of like pick at this with the Velcro, and I can make it nice and fluffy. And then I just brush it back. And there's my balanced leech.